Greetings and welcome to this special edition of Village Connector TV. My name is Glenn Garnes and I'm your host. And at Village Connector TV, we are here to inform and to educate and to help people to enhance their quality of life in the process. And today, we have the privilege of interviewing three wonderful women who have dedicated their lives to helping couples with infertility issues. So I want to thank Camille Hammond, Rada Dropitskaya, and Monica Dang for joining us in the studio today. We're going to have a very lively discussion about how to get pregnant as a couple. So can I start with you?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So Camille, tell us a little bit about, you're with the Cade Foundation. Let's start there. Tell us a little bit about what the Cade Foundation is all about.
The Cade Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in 2005 to support families with infertility. We provide different types of support, and that includes information, which we give out through community-based programs that Cade Foundation pays for, where we invite experts into local settings where people can ask questions and not have to feel overwhelmed or feel like they can't afford the treatment or just afford to ask some basic questions. So we call those outreach events, and we do those nationally. We also give out a grant of up to $10,000, and that is for fertility treatment or domestic adoption, or adopting a child from within the U.S. And to date, we've given out 55 grants to families pursuing domestic adoption or fertility treatment to overcome infertility.
Wow, that's a wonderful program. So
Thank you.
You're not just overcoming fertility in the form of helping couples get pregnant, you're also giving them other options as it relates to things like adoption.
Most certainly, we believe that there are many different pathways to parenthood, and they can include fertility treatment, but fertility treatment is one word that means a lot of different things. I myself had infertility, and we overcame with the help of a gestational carrier, which many people may refer to as a surrogate. That happened to be my mom, and she carried and delivered my triplets when she was 55 years old. Other pathways to parenthood may include for IVF without donor gametes or eggs or sperm from another person. It may include intrauterine insemination, also known as IUI. It may also include adoption through the foster care system, adoption through private adoption, international adoption, and for some people, overcoming infertility actually means living child-free, but it's making that choice.
You used one term that I think we didn't define. You said IVF.
Yes, in vitro fertilization, and that is what most people think of fertility treatment as. It's when they take a sperm from the father, an egg from the mother, they mix them outside of the body, and those cells become an embryo outside of the body, and then that embryo is placed back into the mother's womb, and it's called in vitro because it takes place outside of the body, as opposed to in vivo, where when a man and a woman get together and the egg and the sperm meet inside the body, that would be in vivo fertilization.
Very good. Well, I like the term that you use, pathways to parenthood. That sounds like a great way to put it. And it sounds like there's a lot of options available, so thank you for sharing those.
Certainly.
Give us an idea of what fertility treatment is costing from an economic standpoint. 'Cause I know that's got to be something that's on a lot of couples' minds.
It is. Cost is a major barrier that prevents many families from moving forward and even considering any kind of treatment or really pathway to parenthood. Many people kind of rule themselves out because they assume that they won't be able to afford whatever it is they choose. And one thing that we really emphasize at the Cade Foundation is cost should not be a barrier preventing anyone who wants to love and raise a child from doing that. And that's one of the reasons why we have a grant to fund up to $10,000 per family. But there are a number of other organizations that do a great job at providing financial support, whether that is through discounts. Many of our pharmaceutical partners provide financial discounts based on income. Many other grants are available, and some clinics even have sliding scales. So part of what we are here to do is really to just educate families and individuals about all of the opportunities that they may take advantage of as they are moving towards bringing children into their home and becoming parents.
Well, it sounds like the Cade Foundation is a great resource. You're serving in a lot of ways as a clearinghouse, in addition to being a source of some of the resources that are available for people, for parents, or people looking to become parents.
Well, I would consider us more of a connector. I love to connect people with other organizations and other individuals who are able to provide support. And that's actually one of the ways that I met Rada, because she is an acupuncturist who provides support to complement the work of the fertility doctors through acupuncture. And so I really feel very excited about the ways that we're able to support families both now and into the future.
Well, I love that term. If you look at my business card, you see my title is connector, so I get that and I appreciate that. And on that note, why don't we talk a little bit with Rada?
Another connector?
Yeah, another connector. There you go.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about your acupuncture practice. So tell us a little bit about why you have such a passion for acupuncture.
So I became an acupuncturist in 2005, graduated from Thai Sophia. At that point, it was a private school. Now it's a university. Came from a career of dental hygiene, still do a little bit of that. And fertility acupuncture became an interest to me because I was a patient at Shady Grove Fertility. And I realized also that there were a lot of studies done about benefits of acupuncture and fertility treatments. So one of the earliest studies was 2005 that started in Germany and then was reproduced at the University of Maryland and NIH, and in those studies there were approximately 1,300 families studied. And what they found out that families that had straight IVF without acupuncture had about 25 to 35% success. When they included acupuncture to those treatments, the success rate went to 42%, which is kind of big.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Right, and the reason why, because during acupuncture, you can help both man and a woman to regulate hormones. With women, you can regulate their cycles. You can help them to produce quality eggs. Acupuncture helps them during implantation, and with men, it helps them to produce better sperm.
Wow, well, it sounds like that's, and especially when you consider the costs associated with the fertility treatments, anything you can do to increase your percentage is a good thing.
Which, an interesting part of it, that acupuncture mostly covered by insurance. So a lot of 90% of my patients right now come and Blue Cross Blue Shield covers their treatments.
That's a good point.
So
because
that's
a lot
a
of
great
people
point.
won't know to ask that question.
Absolutely. And not only that, but I also include nutrition, whole food supplements to my treatments, because I think it's so important to help people detoxify and rebuild when they're going through infertility.
Tell us a little bit more about the role that nutrition plays in supporting the acupuncture treatment regimen.
Right. So I'm going to start with an example of, like a visual example, so you can understand what's going on. Let's say a couple decides to go to Hawaii and they buy a piece of land. And they're so excited. We bought a piece of land. Now we want to plant trees. So they go to a local store like Lowe's or another store, and they buy most expensive seeds. And they come home and they want to plant those seeds and grow trees. Then they realize the trees don't grow. What's happening? So what's happening is that the land is not prepared. And the same way sometimes happens when they come for IVF. Their body is not prepared for it. The IVF is wonderful. The doctors are there to help them, but the body is not prepared. What that means, a lot of people getting married later now in life, your chances of getting pregnant significantly go down after 35. So, and there's stress, and people don't know about different eating habits that not helping them to get pregnant. So all of those factors contribute to them not being ready. So my job is to educate them how to prepare that land. It takes few months and little changes that they can make along the way to, again, detoxify their body, help them to de-stress, and then put whole food nutrients, not something that they buy like in CVS, but something that they come to a specialist that can figure out what exactly is going on with this specific couple and guide them to put right nutrients and to help them with acupuncture to create specific treatments that that couple needs to become pregnant.
Well, that's a great analogy with the fertile land concept.
Right.
It's something people can relate to. And I remember when my wife and I had our children that they always had us take prenatal vitamins, but that was after you were pregnant. No one ever talked with us
Right.
about preparing before pregnancy to have a healthy environment for the child to be birthed in.
Which I always tell my future parents that in the best case scenario, come before you go to fertility clinic. People just don't realize about that. You know, if they come before, let's say they get married, they come for acupuncture for prevention. They both help, you know, I help their body to detoxify, and then constitutionally speaking, each person is different, so I do treatments to specifically treat those conditions that they have. And infertility is very interesting term. Sometimes it's hormonal imbalance. Sometimes it's digestive issue that's preventing them to get pregnant. Sometimes it's something else that needs to be eliminated. So not one person is the same treatment.
Now, for those of us that might be watching the show right now, I know that some of these things they're hearing for the first time. So
Right.
this sounds like a relatively unique approach to fertility. Can you tell us why this is unique?
There's some fertility specialists and acupuncturists who are doing that, but the ones that I met mostly do one protocol, which is called German protocol. And it works, but it's just one set of points. What I find interesting is that people come and they're all unique. So from my education from Thai Sophia, we learned a lot of information. We had so much clinic time before we even graduated. And then I've been practicing 10 years, so I have all this experience. Then I discovered this company called Standard Process, which is in Palmyra, which is whole food medical company. And the research that went into Dr. Lee's work is incredible. So I started as a patient myself, and I started to change my dietary choices and put myself on whole food supplements, and my blood work changed. So your body is very wise and very forgiving. So you put a little bit of good nutrients in your body, and you change somewhat your diet. Sometimes is gluten-free or reducing your gluten. Sometimes is reducing the sugar contacts, eliminating soft drinks, drinking more water. Little changes like that will go along the way, because once you put good nutrients in your body and rebuild your gut, your immunity, 80% of it is in your gut, basically.
And again, we don't often think of that because
Right.
a lot of times couples that are not consciously making the effort to get pregnant don't know that they should be preparing and keeping their bodies healthy.
So I'm going to give you one example. I have this one couple, and again, I can't name their name, so I'm going to call them Smith family. They came to me, and they went to Shady Grove Fertility, and the husband said they had 1% that they would get pregnant. So they said, look, we're going to try acupuncture. We have nothing to lose. If nothing happens, we're going to adopt. So she had issues producing quality eggs. He had issues with sperm mobility.
2 strikes against.
Right, 2 strikes. So I said, okay, let's try it. And I said, let's just give it 3 to 6 months, because it takes a little bit for your body to rebuild. It's not a quick fix. Nothing is. So we started working on detoxification. I took medical history. I realized that the wife had a lot of digestive issues. So I started working on their diet. I actually took them food shopping, and went to their house, looked at their cupboards, eliminated a lot of gluten products for that matter, because now gluten is not all bad, but when you're going through infertility, it's a major issue with inflammation. So I tell them, stay away from it or reduce it while you're trying to get pregnant. So they reduce the gluten intake, they start drinking more water, they start watching their sugar, and they start doing organic vegetables and fruits and lots of fish and meat and chicken, right? That start changing their blood chemistry. Then you add to that picture whole food supplements that feeds their body. So again, within a month, he started, and they were going through Shady Grove Fertility and doing the testing. Their tests got better. So then they said, oh, maybe we should do IVF with you guys. And I work with their doctors in Shady Grove Fertility and other fertility centers. That's not the only centers that send me patients, coordinating their treatments. So they said, okay, looks better, go on. So they start coming more and more, like once a week they came, and the insurance covers actually for both of them. They were really happy. And within 3 months, they were able to, actually, they had to surgically go pull his sperm, and the sperm was good quality, and they did IVF. So she's pregnant with twins right now.
That is fantastic. Now I understand the connection, why you're such good partners with it,
Right.
because
Power partners.
when you offer grants for people to undergo the IVF or some of the other treatments, you're actually enhancing the ability for them to be successful with it by having them go through the acupuncture and the whole food nutrition regimen first.
And they can go through it during IVF. They can go through it after IVF. I can support them through the whole pregnancy and delivery. But my better patients are the ones that start before. As soon as they step into any kind of fertility center, it would be wonderful if they could start acupuncture, because acupuncture is reasonably inexpensive. Then they don't have to go through failures of IVF and paying so much money and being so stressed out, because it could work on the first time. Again, it's all God willing, right? It's all in God's hands. Sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time it does work, because your body at that point is that fertile ground that can actually produce good fruit.
Well, it makes sense the way you've described it here, for sure.
Right.
Did you have something that you wanted to add to what Radha was saying? I noticed that you got ready to raise your hand.
Yeah, it wasn't Rada, it was something that you mentioned about prenatal vitamins.
Yes.
They're called prenatals, but really they're preconception vitamins. So the things that are in there are really intended to prevent birth defects and result in a healthy pregnancy. But so many problems take place at the time of conception. So really, anyone who's sexually active and thinking at some point about getting pregnant ought to start taking them.
Even if they don't have fertility problems, but especially if they do.
Well, the issue is you don't know if you have fertility problems unless you've been diagnosed with infertility. And the definition of infertility is having sex for 12 months without protection and not getting pregnant. So it takes some time before most people really realize
that that's what's happening for them.
Exactly. A lot of people think, well, I haven't ever used contraception, but we've been married for 5 years, but we just started trying to get pregnant in our minds 6 months ago. Well, no, you have 5 years of infertility. Your body doesn't know what your mind knows. Your body knows no contraception, no pregnancy, infertility.
Interesting.
Regardless to your intention.
I want to add something to your to what you just said, because I constantly take new classes on nutrition and acupuncture. So the newest research says that it's better to take whole food supplements versus synthetics, because synthetics sometimes don't do much, actually. So they did research at NIH recommending supplements that actually have whole food base. And there are a few companies on the market that can do that. And the best way is to actually go to a specialist, either your physician or your nutritionist or your acupuncturist or sometimes chiropractor, who is trained with a reputable medical whole food company like Stand Process and other few companies. I don't want to talk about that right now, that would actually take your medical history, sit down and design a plan for you.
Well, it sounds like this is all very well thought out, and that you wouldn't expect anything less with something as important as preparing for parenthood. So.
Absolutely.
Now, Monica, you have been sitting there very patiently waiting for your opportunity to add to the connectivity here. Just like Radha, you have an area of expertise that adds value to helping couples become pregnant. So tell us a little bit about what you do, and you're a meditation practitioner.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
I'm certified meditation facilitator through Satya Worldwide, and it really goes hand in hand, because I focus on your thoughts, your brain, and slowing things down, dealing with the stress that comes up with that comes up with infertility treatments, that comes up with trying to get pregnant. It's extremely stressful in our life, in our communities now. I mean, stress is just awful. It's off the charts. And so even, for people who aren't getting pregnant, I mean, stress is just out there. And, it affects every part of your body. It really, it makes, it puts you into fight, flight, and freeze. And when you're in fight, flight, and freeze, your body is just in survival mode. It's not going to be able to conceive. Until you relax all of that and get down to just, you're back to your normal self, just calm, and enjoying the process, you won't be able to conceive because your body is shut down, essentially.
Now, I think that one of the other things that's important to keep in mind is that meditation is a natural solution for stress reduction as opposed to needing to be medicated. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, you can do it anywhere, anytime. It comes with you wherever you go. I mean, it's fabulous. There's many ways to meditate. I personally really, truly love doing guided meditation, especially for beginners, because that way you're not worried about just having no thoughts. A lot of people think meditation is having no thoughts, but that's not true. Your mind is meant to have thoughts, and we then, on top of that, trained it to have more and more thoughts because we're just constantly going. So really meditation is trying to just be and observe the thoughts. Or in guided meditation, you listen to the facilitator. So you get into a comfortable seated position is the best. And you breathe intentionally, and you listen to the meditation facilitator. As you relax, you're using your own imagination, your own senses, and something like if being on a beach relaxes you, and the meditation facilitator can talk to you about just being on a beach, your subconscious really can't tell the difference between a memory of something and what's actually happening. So you have that stress reduction. Your body actually responds to imagining that you're on the beach and feeling the sand between your feet, the warm sand, and watching the waves come in and hearing the sound of those waves crashing. Your body will just naturally relax and not feel like you have to be in fight, flight, or freeze. And when you're in that relaxed state, you really are able to enjoy the process better instead of getting caught up in the stress of all of it. Because otherwise, it's not fun anymore, I mean, the process of getting pregnant is a fun one, so we should enjoy it, right?
And that's a good point that you raise, and I think that we also have a tendency to think of these things in a rather artificial way, because we also have to remember that while couples are attempting to get pregnant, they're also in their normal daily routine of work and profession and career or whatever else it is that they're doing. So it's really important to have that ability to manage and balance nutrition and stress, and of course having options that are available for them to be able to put themselves in a position to explore that path to parenthood. So I can see why all this makes sense. And one of the things I think that a lot of people might have questions about is there documentation, is there anything in the literature that supports some of these things that you're talking about as it relates to helping with pregnancy?
So as far as research, science research on meditation, it's still kind of in its infancy. There are studies out there, but there's not a lot of them. They connect more to stress specifically than infertility. And meditation just covers such a vast, amount of things. It really, because stress affects everything. So it's really hard to, there's not a lot of statistics per se, but there have been studies that have shown that it affects your brain and actually changes your brain chemistry. And therefore, it really does support the fact that meditation will help de-stress and calm down and relax.
And there are some things I think that are just common sense. I mean, when you're taking care of your body through nutrition, and you're getting, reducing stress in your life, it certainly can't hurt. And I think that the message that you all have here is that there are options available for people to pursue that can enhance their ability to become pregnant and have children. And one of the things I love about what you do is that regardless of what the final outcome is, it is helping them with their general wellness as well. Sure.
I was just going to add that one of the effects of acupuncture, which is well documented, is helping people with their immune system. Because when you're constantly under stress, your immune system kind of goes down. And one of the things that they do when I insert the needles, and again, a lot of people are scared of needles. They think, oh my God, needles are so big. And then I show them the needles are very thin, they're hair thin. When I insert them to certain points that can affect the whole body, they realize it actually doesn't hurt. And they lay on the table, and that opportunity to just lay there and listen to relaxing music, that by itself, they tell me, oh my God, I came here and I was so stressed, and and then I left and I feel so much more relaxed. and most of my couples come together and they support each other. Like one is on the table, one is holding hands, or a lot of my husbands put their hands on the wife's stomach while she's having acupuncture, and they have that special connection that happens during that moment, that both of them are relaxed and both of them are connecting at that level. And at that point I say, okay, I'm going to leave you for 10 minutes. I will come back. You do your special sacred work that happens right now, that is just between two of you. And that's been just wonderful thing that I discovered, treating couples versus just one person.
Well, it sounds like all of you have given a lot of thought to how to help couples get on the path to parenthood. And I think that you've really given some great options. Monica, why don't you go ahead and close
I
on
did
that?
want to add that in our society today, we don't even realize we are stressed. So one of the things that meditation also helps you with, it actually helps you understand what your body feels like when it's not stressed. Because
Gives you the contrast.
it really does. It really does.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. You know, I'd like to add, I think that what Monica's saying about stress is so critical. So often during infertility, sex and intimacy becomes scheduled instead of spontaneous. And that can really cause problems. It can make it difficult to perform, difficult to perform sexually. And so being able to de-stress and bring some of the fun back into the bedroom really can be an important addition, complement to this whole process.
And one important thing that we haven't addressed yet is that couples getting pregnant, it also helps them to improve the quality of their relationship with being able to de-stress the situation, improve their health,
Certainly.
their enjoyment of the entire process. And you
for
all are
parents.
adding to that in a very big way.
Just real quick, I want to add, I have a patient who came to me and said, you know, I have an issue with my father. We have a very strange relationship. He stresses me out. So I said, why don't you bring your father for your sessions, and we can treat him for lower back, and if you don't mind. And she goes, that's a great idea. So two of them start having a little date, father-daughter date. He came for her sessions and then had his sessions. As a result of that, she relaxed, he relaxed, their relationship improved, and that was like a block that she had to getting pregnant. And then she ended up actually getting pregnant, and their relationship turned around so much that he was so supportive of her and her husband.
That's great.
And it just like became this incredible story of like, it goes beyond husband and wife.
So the message here is that you've got options.
Right.
And you should investigate
Yes.
and explore those options. And a great place to start is with this organization and with the Cade Foundation and with these professionals. I know I'm looking all over the place here. With these professionals who have done their homework to put you in a position to experience a higher quality of life for yourself. So I know we have to, we got to wrap up here, but let's start by getting some information about how people can contact you. So let's start with Camille. How can people reach out to you at the Cade Foundation?
Yes, we are online at www.cadefoundation.org.
Okay, and are we bringing that up on the screen somewhere? I saw it over there. Okay, so we got that. So it's cadefoundation.org. That's easy enough to remember. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Radha, how can people reach out to you?
So if they look up fertility acupuncture on Facebook or anywhere I come up, also my website is www.radhaردhacupuncture.com. But mostly a lot of infertility support groups, already patients coming to me, they would share their stories and they say, just Google me, Radha Sky Acupuncture Fertility, and I come up.
Give us that website one more time. 'Cause I think that I want to make sure people are aware of that.
www.radhaردhacupuncture.com.
Good. And we've had that on the screne too. So
Right, and I'm in Columbia.
fantastic. Columbia, Maryland. Because
Yep.
remember, people are going to be seeing this from
Oh,
all over the world.
yeah,
So,
I'm-
and it would be worth a trip to come out here to
Absolutely.
get help with these folks. So,
Sure.
Monica, how can we reach you?
At www.wordsofwisdom.com.
Ooh, what a great domain.
I'm sorry, whispered words of wisdom.
Whispered Words of Wisdom. Wonderful. Whisperedwordsofwisdom.com.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, I want to thank you all for joining us on Village Connector TV today. This has really been educational and fun and inspiring.
Thank
I
you.
hope that couples know that there are options available to you. You should explore those options. You deserve to be on the path to parenthood, and these professionals can help you to do that. So on behalf of Camille, Rada, and Monica, I want to thank you for joining us for this very special episode of Village Connector TV. My name is Glenn Garnes. I wish you much happiness and much success in your effort to get on the path to parenthood.